Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things AEW and WWE. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in-depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions on everything happening in the world of professional wrestling. Join us as we dive into the high-octane action, dramatic storylines, and backstage buzz of AEW and WWE. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling. I'm your host, Josh, the Oracle of Offense, and joining me, as always, is my incredible co-host, the prophetess of power bombs, Dawn.
Oh,
and this episode, the very same. This episode, we're diving into our predictions and speculations for WrestleMania 41. Let's get into it.
Yay!
Yay! I don't know about you, but I'm super excited for WrestleMania.
I'm very excited. Like unrealistically excited. When I said that it's like my holiday, I am serious, guys. This and 420 are the biggest, best holidays ever. And second night of WrestleMania is on 420.
Indeed. A coincidence? I think not.
No, God made it happen.
And Triple H.
Hey, who? Yeah, Triple H, I guess. Yeah, sure.
So, in this episode, we're just going to offer up our predictions for the winners of the matches. Listeners will also hear the match cards. So it shouldn't be too much of a spoiler. I believe all this information is already online. So, getting into it, on night one of WrestleMania, it's going to be the following card. It's going to be Roman Reigns versus CM Punk with Paul Heyman presumably in his corner, I guess, versus Seth Rollins.
You said this is the first night?
Yep, this is night one.
Oh, I thought they were...
The headline of night two is Cody versus Cena.
Oh, yeah, okay. Says Tamatonga.
So, starting with night one and the first match, I don't think these are in the order that they will appear, but it's the top of the card to, I guess, the lower spectrum of the card. Looking at Roman Reigns, CM Punk with Paul Heyman, and Seth Rollins, what are your thoughts? What do you predict will happen in that match? And maybe any speculations if you have them?
CM Punk is winning. He's going to win this one. And I don't know how exactly, not just yet, but I think Paul Heyman is going to have something to do with it. Now, I mean, let's be honest, and everything that I'm saying here is kayfabe, okay? I am marking out for the product right now. So everything that I'm going to be saying is going to be in the storyline as we know it now, okay? So, it's saying that, I would say, I'm not sure how yet, but Paul Heyman is going to play a role in CM Punk winning, and it's not like Roman has been the nicest, friendliest, the most loving and or caring to Paul Heyman, especially with the accusations that are coming out, and even the way Paul Heyman handles it whenever he's getting accused, it's just kind of like it's almost like he doesn't know what to say because he's shocked that he would be accused of this, because he feels that he's expressed extreme loyalty to Roman Reigns. And I mean, real talk, he has. Like, this dude's been kissing the ring for well over 3 years now. So, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I totally see that Paul Heyman is going to help CM Punk in some way. And I still don't know what Seth's role is going to be in here. Maybe Seth is going to do something. Maybe he's going to set up a situation where Heyman does something treacherous or something that looks like it's treacherous to Roman, and he's doing it because Seth set him up. You know what I mean? Something like that. But in either way, I think that's Seth is here to throw discord. Seth is here to be the serpent, and I think he's definitely gonna do that. And it's got to be probably at the extent or at the demise of Roman in this match, and also at the hands of Paul somehow. What say you?
Nice. I have a slightly different take, but mine might be more outlandish. Because I see where you're coming from,
Let's
right? Like
go. Yeah.
CM Punk's on a big push. It's he's a good call for it. It's his WrestleMania moment. Of course he's going to win. And maybe you're spot on right. Maybe what I'm about to say is insane fever dream bullshit. But here's my take on it.
Okay.
Paul Heyman plays tug of war with his loyalties for most of the match. Not sure whether he can do anything to help Roman. Not sure if he can do anything to help Punk, but not trying to not help either one of them. So, essentially, long story short, it's a tug of war of Roman and CM Punk with this little walrus of a man, Paul Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, Paul Heyman betrays both of them, and Seth Rollins is the winner. And Seth Rollins walks out with CM Punk. Not CM Punk, with Paul Heyman. And Rollins is basically a new Heyman guy. And then on Monday, after everyone is super shocked about this, like he betrayed both his best friend and his tribal chief, then we have this, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman. And him and Seth Rollins come out, and he proceeds to explain that he is tired of being a mistreated pawn to the ungrateful Roman Reigns, who isn't even anywhere near the title picture anymore, or to CM Punk, the fair weather friend who only makes his presence known when he needs a favor. Instead, I went with someone who speaks some sense and only ever spits nothing but the absolute truth. The architect, Seth freaking Rollins. Something along those lines. And it totally swerves everyone who's like, I don't know, is it going to be Roman? And, maybe Paul Heyman swerves and decides he's loyal to his tribal chief and CM Punk gets screwed, or vice versa. I'm thinking it's the one you're not looking at, which is the one they often like to make the guy. And Seth Rollins honestly deserves to come up looking like he got the one up. He is the architect, the visionary, the revolutionary. He outsmarted both of you along with Paul Heyman. That's my prediction. Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman double swerve, which is going to be a theme for the night.
Not the double swerve.
CM Punk and Roman Reigns. While for most of the match, the question in the air will be, who will Paul Heyman help? Will it be CM Punk? Will it be Roman Reigns? Shite! It's going to be Seth freaking Rollins.
I would like that. I mean, I like your ending better. We'll take yours. The end.
Well, thank you. I don't have a clue if that's the way it's going to go. And honestly, it's difficult to predict because, Roman Reigns is the tribal chief. And Seth Rollins is like probably one of, if not the best talents on their roster, just writ large.
Architect, yeah.
And CM Punk is on a mad mega push by the WWE. So it would be fair to suggest any of these three men could take it. But I feel like the way they've dealt with Paul Heyman has naturally set our eyes to looking at who is he going to help, CM Punk or Roman Reigns. And so a sneaky storyteller would be like, guess what? Neither. He's helping Seth freaking Rollins because he's sick of these two, and list the reasons why. They've even kind of shown you, like Roman Reigns was about to get brutal with him, so he's a pawn to Roman Reigns. He's a minion. And CM Punk, quite naturally, as Seth Rollins pointed out, has only really shown any interest in Paul Heyman when it was to his benefit. So it would be wonderful if Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins screw the both of them.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So that is my prediction.
Man, I'm going to
speculation.
I'm going to say that I hope that they'd be ballsy enough to do that, because that sounds like a really cool idea. I like it.
Why, thank you. So that's my prediction for that match. And I liked your prediction too because I could just, like I just said, I could equally see that outcome. Like, this is a pretty good match because it could go in any number of directions, all with equal believability.
Yeah.
Like, any of these three men could win, and no one would be like, I can't believe, Seth won, or I can't believe CM Punk won, or I can't believe Roman won. I mean, they're all three at that level.
Yeah.
I just think that the most interesting plot twist that is not what anyone would be probably thinking along the lines of, because they want you to be looking at, is Paul going with CM Punk or is he going with Roman Reigns? One of those two. There's no reason he would go with Seth Rollins. Shocking everyone when he in fact does go with Seth Rollins and neither CM Punk or Roman Reigns.
I like it. Sold.
Yay!
Write that script and we'll make a movie.
Right? Going on from there, we have the next match listed is Tiffany Stratton defending her women's championship versus one Charlotte Flair.
Now, you want to start with your prediction? Or you want me to start?
I don't think mine is terrifically interesting here.
Mine isn't interesting either.
I think Charlotte Flair does not win because otherwise it would just bury Tiffany. And I don't see any other like super intriguing angles to come at this with unless Becky Lynch came back or something. But even then, this is just a normal match, so there can't even be that much interference without it being, a thrown out match.
Yep.
So I think this is just straight up going to be Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany, and Tiffany somehow pulls out the win so that it doesn't look like she only had the championship for 30 seconds and then got buried by Charlotte Flair.
Yeah. All I can say is, I hope that it's a good match. Because my prediction right now is that I won't care because I don't care right now. I'm hoping that these ladies are able to give us something that won't be a can of hot fire. Sorry, like a box of shit on fire. Maybe that's a better analogy. Because I haven't been happy with the promos. I haven't been happy with the costuming. I haven't been happy with anything so far with these two women and this fucking match. And I'm saying it that way because Charlotte Flair is literally one of my all-time favorite female competitors. And I think that this is all Tiffany. I like Tiffany. She's a good young strong competitor. She's a brilliant up and comer, but honestly, this whole fucking ridiculous out of control promo that they cut about 2 or so weeks ago. The horrible choice in the outfits for these women, the off scriptiness that they're all trying to ignore happened. Charlotte Flair, who's usually extremely composed, ending a conversation with a woman who I believe is maybe at least 10 years younger than her. At least. Ending a promo with, is that why Kaiser's in my DMs?
Yeah.
Jesus H. Christ, lady. Pull it together. This child should not, on a promo, have you crashing out that hard. Like, and I'm getting on to Charlotte because she's usually so much more composed than this. And yes, I know that this seemed to have caught her by surprise. Whatever the fuck they were doing with this promo, she seemed like a deer in headlights. Like, I don't think she had any idea what was gonna pop off when she showed up for that fucking promo. Maybe she thought it was gonna be more of the same. And Tiffany came with a whole different bag, baby. She was not here for that. And ultimately, it's just killed my fucking interest in the match altogether. Maybe they'll get in there and be super fucking hostile with each other, and maybe that'll be entertaining. But right now, man, I just have no fucking no hype for this match, which is so crazy because I hear on paper Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton. Oh my God, fire! Come on, nah.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, they could have just left it. They could have just left it, man. And instead, they just fucking killed all the hype for it. And since I don't really have a prediction for this particular match, I decided I would use my time to bitch about why I am not excited about this match. Um, and that's
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah, because I really don't have a prediction, man. I mean, I think this one's pretty cut and dry. The whole point was Tiffany was supposed to win this match. This kind of felt like the female version of Jey Uso versus Gunther. And had they gone that route, this would have been way more entertaining. Instead, they went the catty vindictive female route, and this just felt so dated. This felt like such a Divas era fucking feud that I just lost all interest in it.
Yeah, I felt like, especially that promo
Yeah.
where they came out wearing essentially like BDSM gear and
Jesus.
lingerie. It really was a throwback to that diva era, and I felt like it was beneath both of them a bit.
Yes.
And I don't think it did them any favors. I know that this match felt kind of like it was thrown together. Like Charlotte comes back, she wins the Rumble. Who's she gonna go after? Well, kind of her main option was Tiffany Stratton. And it just felt like they needed Charlotte and Tiffany to have this match because they needed a match. But then they were like, well, shoot, we're going to have to build some kind of grudge or some kind of heat. And this is what they came up with. And it went over like a turd in a punch bowl. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
So the only hope I kind of have left for it at this point is that they absolutely demolish it in the ring. Like that's really all that I could hope for going into that match, because the build up to it has been relatively terrible. But both of these women can bring it in the ring if they choose to do so. I mean, I remember watching Charlotte Flair go against Rhea Ripley, and it was one of the nastier, brutal matches in ring of that particular WrestleMania. And I'm hoping to see something akin to that with Tiffany Stratton, because that could really elevate like both women, especially because they're kind of low at the moment. You know, there's no place to really go but up.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for. I don't begrudge Charlotte. I don't begrudge Tiffany. I think the bookers, producers, and the writers kind of went in a bad direction, and it didn't work.
Yeah. I honestly think that they intended to give this match that catty, what they would consider edginess. They honestly wanted to make this a God, what's the name of that freaking movie? The Devil Wears Prada type thing. Like they I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but what I'm saying is I really feel like they were trying to do a old versus new.
I could see that. I see. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Charlotte's the older, jealous. She's jealous of the new hot thing that's there, that kind of thing. Because I mean, how many times do they bring up them both being blonde and whatever? Like, you know, like it honestly came off like a softcore porn advertisement that I did not want to see. Okay, not interested.
It kind of felt like they were going for like maybe a Mean Girls vibe, which like Charlotte, the much more experienced, the I guess she's the senior and Tiffany's the freshman, and she's being bullied.
Yeah, and they were kind of and for some reason they were like, we're trying to make Tiffany a face, and I'm like, why does she need to be a face? Why does she need to be an ultra baby face for any of this to work? She wasn't technically a baby face when she cashed in her Money in the Bank.
Yeah. Tiffany is best when she's, I'm the center of the universe, and it is now Tiffy time.
Tiffy time. Why the fuck does she need to be a super baby face? Why can't she just be the character that everybody already liked?
Yeah, she doesn't need to go cotton candy. Like, I felt like that's the direction they were trying to lean her in when it was like Trishy and Tiffy time. I was like, oh god, bruh. Yeah. I much preferred Tiffany Stratton as like a villainous female. Like she does better being the bully instead of being the bullied.
Why did they have to make it like, well, one of them has to be bullied and the other one has to be the bully? Why not say, oh man, these chicks are both alphas, so they should both fight for this
Yeah.
fight for the dominance. Instead, we're gonna bully her because she's younger. And come on, I just
Yes.
I beating a dead horse now, right? But it's disappointing because, like I said, I really like Charlotte. When I say Charlotte's one of my all-time favorites, she's one of my all-time favorites, just like her dad. Okay, like that whole family, man. I'll mark out for them all day long, and I'm just so disappointed that this is the route they decided to take with her. I feel like this was disrespectful to her fucking legacy, and I think it's disrespectful to the future career of Tiffany. Man, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this? What is this 1995 bullshit we got going here?
I would have much preferred Charlotte Flair doing something like "Welcome to the Big Leagues, Tiffy," after the first
Yes.
attack. But then in the second attack or the second attempted attack, Tiffany one-ups her and says, it's Tiffy time now. You are the old
Yes.
model. I'm the new.
Yeah.
And it was
If
more
they
of a
were gonna
give
go
and
that
take.
route.
Instead,
Yes.
they sort of painted it for a while like Tiffany's just getting bullied by this veteran. And
Yeah.
then, descended into, your boyfriend's in my DMs versus, oh, how's your divorce rate? And I'm like, oh, guys, gutter. You went into the gutter.
Yep.
And on top of it, you had them dressed like BDSM sluts or something.
Listen,
It
they
just,
even had them dressing similar. I'm telling you, this was a I'm gonna do it better bullshit ass fucking thing that they were doing. And I'm like, you guys could have kept that shit to yourselves. You didn't have to bring the sexuality of these women in it at all.
yeah.
It was unnecessary. You didn't have to bring their personal lives into it. You didn't have to bring their relationships into it. And yes,
Mm-mm.
I know that wrestlers do that all the time. I know they talk about, somebody's dead parent and whatnot. AEW loves that kind of shit. They love it. Excuse me. But I'm sure there are things that maybe you shouldn't fucking cross. I'm
Man,
pretty
it's
sure.
it's like you called out Christian Cage by name.
Well, yeah, because he's a prick that does that a lot. It's always somebody's dead parent. He just keeps fucking harping on that. And like
Specifically, their father.
he's a one trick pony with his heel stuff. But what he does well. So I'm not hating on him. And hey, if you do it well, why change it, right? You do what you know, right?
If it works.
Yeah, if it works, then keep going. Speaking of which, this didn't work. Whatever they were trying with Charlotte, I mean, they started out with Tiffany getting attacked or something after a match, and then Charlotte coming out and sitting down, and judging her. Like, bitch, you had nothing to do with what just happened, but here you come.
They did that a couple of times.
Yes, yeah. I mean, again, I feel just very disappointed, man. And now all I can do is hope that they surprise us. And fuck, you know how happy I'd be if I could say this was match of the night, man. I'd be thrilled.
Yeah,
I doubt
the only thing I can hope for is a really good match, because I don't even think that the outcome is too unpredictable. Because like, if you stick the strap back on Charlotte, not only does that not do any favorites for Charlotte, who's already caught nothing but like almost go away heat from the crowd, because it's like, oh, she came back, of course she won the Rumble. But you're going to bury your young talent in Tiffany Stratton, and I don't think anybody would benefit from that outcome. Like, it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. So pretty much it's Tiffany Stratton squeaks out a win somehow, hopefully on the end of a banger of a match. It's really kind of the only way I can see it possibly going.
Like I mean, come on, they know that everybody knows that Tiffany's gonna win that match. Like, there was never any doubt in my head that Tiffany was gonna win the match. I just thought in my head, well, this is gonna be a hard match, honey, and I can't wait to see it. That's what I was thinking. Same thing with Jey Uso and Gunther, but we'll get to that.
Yep, we sure will. Maybe if I'm trying to think of how the match goes, they're gonna show Charlotte for the majority of the match, like one upping and constantly comment on, well, that's that veteran experience versus the relative
Oh
newcomer.
God, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and then it's going to be at the end. Tiffany does something to outsmart Charlotte, like maybe like the ref ain't looking and she pokes Charlotte in the eye. I don't know something, but she manages to get the win on a much more experienced veteran Charlotte Flair, probably through some slightly nefarious like outmaneuvering, but she gets outsmarted. And it's like, surprise, it's Tiffy time. Everybody thinks I'm just a dumb blonde, but I'm over here playing 4D chess. And that would work. That would work just fine. I
Yeah,
just really think that the build up could have been a little more even handed.
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
and maybe it threw them for a loop. Maybe it threw them for a loop because they were gonna try. I think Charlotte was trying to come in as a face, and then the crowd turned on her, so they had to pivot. And maybe
Yeah,
this is all they could come up with in short notice off a pivot. But I feel like, unfortunately, this could be a great matchup, but the build-up was ugh.
that Charlotte was trying to come as a face too, because honey, what? Listen, again, when I say, play what you know or play to your strengths, Charlotte Flair being a face ain't one of them. Um, and again, I'm okay with that. I can understand her vibe completely. She's an Aries. I'm an Aries, so I understand her vibe, which is probably why I mark out for Charlotte Flair. And that, and she's fucking awesome in the ring. She is.
Yeah.
She's a beast in the ring. Um, I mean, they could have just. There are so many things, in my personal opinion, that they could have done to make the outcome or to make the hype for this match better. So
Fully
much,
agree.
but
But
coulda, shoulda, woulda.
moving on from there, we come to the match, the one that I think a lot of people are tuning in for: Gunter versus Jey Uso for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
It's the one
And
I'm tuning in for.
I'll let you start off with your thoughts on this, because I feel like you have some strong ones about your boy, the Yeet Man.
Oh, actually, this one is also pretty simple too. I honestly think that Jey Uso is gonna win. Um, and if Jey Uso does not win, then I'm expecting one hell of a match. I'm expecting that either way. But it's going to have to be Jey Uso gives it his absolute all. And then at that point, I'd be going, and he still doesn't get that belt. So I guess he's never going to get this belt then. So I don't think that's going to happen. Like, honestly, I think that it is Jey Uso's time. It's absolutely his time for this belt. This is his year. This shit started last year. And there are lots of people with the hate. I'm sure. I understand. Whenever something becomes popular, there's always like a rubber band effect where there are going to be some people that suddenly want to get off the boat because they don't want to be, they want to be like, edgy or be on the other side now and be like,
Contrarians, yeah.
yeah, like, oh, you know what? He doesn't deserve this. He didn't deserve that. Blah, blah. And I beg to differ. I told Josh the other day, we were having a conversation because we talk about wrestling a lot, guys. You trust me, we talk about it a lot. But we were talking about it the other day. I don't know when, but it was just one of our mini conversations about fucking wrestlings. And I said, Jey Uso is not the greatest wrestler. He's not. His moveset is fun. It's exciting. It looks cool. And he makes the moves look cool. It's a decent moveset. But he's not like the most technical. He's not the strongest. He's not the most efficient. He's not the fastest. What he does have though is an ability to get in ring and on mic and be one of us. He's extremely relatable.
Extremely relatable.
I mean, extremely. He's able to convey the emotions that a lot of us feel, even the way we would say it. I know he says yeet and bulukto and but he speaks realistically, is what I'm saying. It comes from him. when he's talking, and and how we feel about something. How he like when he was talking to Gunther, who even Gunther is another example, by the way, of a great guy on the mic. He is great with conveying the emotion and the character that has been given to him. Brilliant at it.
Oh yeah, yep. The
But
ring
even
general is a showman.
Gunther, and I'm so glad WWE notices it. I'm so glad they didn't bury that guy. I'm so glad they saw, whoa, we got ourselves something special here. You know, because they do. Gunther is a one of a kind, man, and I'm so happy that he is in WWE. He is probably one of the best assets for that company, and I hope that he has a very long, healthy career because he's phenomenal. And he does a great job of making his opponent look phenomenal. Like this guy, generational talent. Like seriously, Gunther is amazing.
Yep.
Not only that, but he's cut a lot of weight, and he like everything about him is I take this shit seriously. Like so, it's not. I almost feel like it's not too far of a stretch for him to play this character. I feel like this is just him. You know what I mean? And that's good. But let me get back to Jay. Um, Even as good as Gunther is with the character given to him, he could not deny, he couldn't hide the expressions on his face while Jay was talking to him, while Jay was being real with him. He could not, there were little bits where he, like, you know how when somebody's talking to you and you feel empathy for them? So you start making a face that's slightly empathetic. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying or if you know what I mean, but
I do.
he was kind of doing that. And whenever the camera would catch him doing it, he would, start shaking his head or like trying to make it like he was trying to make an excuse or something. But I'm like, yeah, you can't hide the fact that you actually feel something for Jay when Jay is talking. Most of us. I'm not saying everybody, and if you don't, that's cool. I know a lot of psychopaths, good friends of mine. But I'm kidding.
Not
I think
not me.
no, not him. Um, but I think that this is. I said all that to say I think this is Jey Uso's year, and it's a well-deserved one. And whether or not you like him in the ring, on the mic, whatever, you cannot deny that this young man has been a workhorse for years now. Him and Jimmy have put in hours of hard work for this
Yeah.
company. There was a time there where we would see them doing one match on SmackDown and then another match on Raw, and then sometimes two matches on SmackDown, and then sometimes involving themselves in another match in Raw. Like these dudes put in the work so that
Yeah.
everybody can eat
Yep.
very well. And they, I feel, held the bloodline to a particular standard for a very two solid years where I honestly believe that not
Mhm.
only Roman, it wasn't just Roman, man. Jay and Jimmy put the bloodline on a whole nother level as far as factions in the WWE are concerned, as far as wrestling is concerned. This is a
Yeah.
fucking faction that you'll talk about for years to come. You got the OTC who has a huge uh uh record, like one of the longest records for holding the fucking belt, man. I mean, you're talking about and Jay and Jimmy and Jay
Yes.
tag team belts. God,
Unparalleled in the modern era, reign that long.
I mean, so these men have put not only WWE on their backs, but I mean like fucking their whole fucking family line. Listen, they've done amazing, and Jay has done a fantastic job. Again, he not only is he working on camera, he's doing dark shows. He's doing he is working his ass off. So this victory is well deserved, I think. The one that I think is coming is well
Yeah,
deserved.
I'm very inclined to agree with you. I don't think our predictions differ at all in terms of who's winning this. Like it is
Yeah,
Jay's time, and he
yeah, yeah,
does
yeah.
deserve it because not only was him and Jimmy like workhorses to such a degree that like you know the joke about like Jamaicans having three jobs. Jamaicans would look at how hard Jimmy and Jay were working and be like, "Damn, dude."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
in their last tag reign, they were everywhere all the time.
Yep.
And you know, since kind of separating over the last 2 years, both Jimmy and Jay are workhorses, but Jay took off like wildfire. I
Yeah.
mean, the whole like the yeet and the whole dance and coming through the crowd and everything. No one has connected. No one. I will go on record saying nobody has a bigger entrance with more pop. Not Will Ospreay, not The Rock,
No.
not anyone, not LA Knight, not anyone in all of the industry of professional wrestling has an entrance that is like the reason people have come to the stadium that night.
Yeah, the encore. Come on.
Yeah.
Who goes out to the ring, has their music playing, and the audience is like asking one more time, one more time.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And so Jay has earned it. Whether you think he's a great technical wrestler or not,
yeah. And I said, I
doesn't
don't.
matter.
I don't.
I absolutely don't feel like we have been force fed Jey Uso. In fact, I feel like he just sort of grew out of the crowd's response to him.
Yeah.
I think he's something that the WWE universe has handpicked.
Yep. Yeah.
So if you're upset because it's slightly predictable, then I don't know what to tell you. Get over it.
It's wrestling. That's what I'll tell you. Yeah, get
So
over it. Seriously, it's wrestling. Shut up.
So, as far as my prediction, I do agree. I think Jey Uso wins. Now, where I
Yeah.
think it might be somewhat surprising is how the match I think might play out, and I've got some speculations on that.
Okay.
I tend to think that after Jay pretty much said, you know, I'm praying for you, but more for me. I'm praying to God to forgive me for the man I'm about to become. I think that shook Gunter, and I think that's what they were trying to paint the picture of on this last like Go Home Raw. Is
Yeah.
that Gunter is shook. And so, because Gunter is shook, Gunter is going to pull out all the stops.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that might include getting one old friend to come down to ringside. I think Ludwig Kaiser interferes a little bit in this match. Not enough to get it thrown
Oh.
out, but enough to be a problem. But after Kaiser sort of interferes, Jimmy shows up, and Jimmy deals with Kaiser. And, you know, that's still not enough because we've been told that Jey Uso's mother will be ringside, which we know is going to immediately attract Gunter. And maybe she gets a little too in her face and she like clobbers him or something, you know?
Mhm.
And long story short, there's going to be a whole lot of that as we work our way around to Jey Uso, who has been winning by inches, not quite enough to actually secure the victory, but of their first three contests, Jey Uso has gotten a little closer to beating Gunter each time. And so this in their fourth and final contest, and part of the reason Gunter is shook is because he sees it as much as any of us, is that Jey Uso finally, you know, gets that he just finally gets over the line and is going to win. And so I imagine it's going to be a very dramatic match. I imagine there's going to be a whole lot of like Jey Uso coming out strong, but then, you know, Gunter is going to start, you know, throwing him around the ring for a little while.
Oh,
and then when it looks like Jay's about to make his big comeback, that's when Ludwig Kaiser will show up to kind of stifle that momentum, and the crowd will be like, "Oh, come on." And it'll be like, well, you know, it's just Jey Uso, so I guess he's screwed. And that's when Jimmy shows up, who everyone thought was dead because he's in the hospital with third-degree, like, stitches. And he shows up.
Third-degree stitches.
The very same. And he shows up and he takes Kaiser out of the equation. And so it's like, oh, well, here we go. And then, like, Gunter starts, like, humiliating Jay in front of his mom. and Gunter's all smug and thinks he's got the upper hand, and then like Jay's mom like smacks Gunter with some brass knuckles or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
like she's
guessing like it could maybe she just slaps him across the face. We know that
like
the Gunter can take them slaps.
so
Um,
like so they're out on the apron, and he's got Jay like just out. Jay's on the ground, right? And then Gunther sees his mom, and he goes over there and he starts talking shit to her, taunting her or whatever. She slaps the piss out of him. He spins around, and when he does, he's met with a spear from Jay.
Yep. And then Jay rolls him back into the ring, and he's stumbling around, wondering where half his face went because Jay's mom slapped it off of him, and he's still like, "Ow, that spear though."
Yeah.
And so Jay spears him again.
Again, yes.
Maybe spears him a third time for good measure, and then hits the Uso splash
Frog
and finally
split.
picks
Yep.
up the win.
Yes. I think that's it. We did it.
That's
Done. We can go home. We're done, guys.
We're seeing. Yeah. There
Hey,
you go.
thanks for
then-
listening.
And then the next like 20 minutes are Jay Uso celebrating and the crowd all doing it's
Losing
just
their
me,
shit.
Uso,
Yes.
and Jimmy, and their mother come, and they're at the ring, and Gunter slinks off to I lost the match hell, and it's just this huge yeet celebration, and so that's how I envision this will go between Gunter and Jey Uso, and it will be amazing. Predictable, who cares? Satisfying, more important.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean the match won't be compelling, even if you kind of already have an idea that Jay's going to win. It could still be very interesting. So I'm here for it, and I really hope it plays out like that.
Yeah, me too. Now, next on the table, Lucky versus Jacob Fatu.
Oh, we're leaving Las Vegas and heading to Louisiana?
Yeah, yes, Louisiana Knigget versus Jacob Fatu. Now, this is for the United States title. Part of me wants to say that LA Knight wins, but Jacob Fatu gives him hell. But if this match, which could potentially end up being a banger, goes the way that I think, then I feel like Jacob Fatu might win. Normally I would say no, this is too early for someone to like him, like someone who's like someone so new to WWE to get a win. But it's also kind of not a thing for somebody so new to be having a WrestleMania match. Like what is this, his first or second year in WWE?
Calendar, I think we've gone into year 2 because he came in
Gone into year
2024.
2? Okay,
But
okay.
I think in terms of overall time, it might not quite be a full year yet.
Okay. I mean, so this feels freaking like early, but it doesn't feel wrong. Jacob Fatu is definitely somebody you want to fucking cash in on now.
Yeah,
Like,
you aren't wrong. He is a phenomenal treat of a talent. Like, he has been
yes.
so much better than I think anybody anticipated.
Yes. So this was real smart of WWE. I do not you mean. Like, this is real smart for WWE. And again, boy, they are fucking lucky to have this one. So I think his push is strong enough to give him this belt. I think he might win it. And I'm not saying it won't be easy. LA Knight has consistently improved every freaking time he gets in the fucking ring. He's still entertaining to watch. He's still entertaining on the mic. And the audience ain't tired of him yet. So I still think that this is going to be like, it ain't going to be no easy match. But I kind of feel like the favor without any help. I don't think Jacob Fatu needs any help. I think the Bloodline interfering in this match would be almost disrespectful. I don't think he needs anybody to help him. Let this match just go like a normal fucking match. I think Jacob Fatu is going to pull out the win. That's my prediction.
Sounds good. I have a slightly different take.
Let's go.
I think everything you said is right. But where I differ is I think Solo and Tama do interfere with supposedly the best intentions of helping Jacob win. And they fuck it up, and it costs him the match. And LA Knight and Jacob have a great match. I mean, that'll all happen before this occurs. They'll come out near to the end, or they'll interfere at least nearer to the end.
Mm-hmm.
And it will somehow cost Jacob Fatu, who could have had the match won, except for something that Solo or Tama, but more likely Solo, did that screws him inadvertently. Air quotes, inadvertently. And this sets up Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa to go to war with each other.
See, I thought they would have had that going by WrestleMania, but maybe the burn wasn't hot enough.
Yeah, so, I don't think they were ready for it yet. I think they want Jacob to have gotten screwed for the last time on the biggest stage by Solo Sikoa to have it be the kindling for what comes next. Because if it was anything kind of small, it'd be like, wow, that seems awful weird that Jacob turned on him that quick, doesn't it? They're supposed to be family, but no, like if you screw Jacob's title shot at WrestleMania, he's big mad.
Yeah.
It's a big deal mad. So I'm supposing that ends up allowing LA Knight to not get buried. And I'm not saying Jacob doesn't deserve the belt. He does. He absolutely does. They should make a werewolf belt just for him. He's that damn good.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to go for the story of how Jacob and Solo have a falling out, and then they go to war. And then maybe that plays out through into SummerSlam.
Okay.
Because watch it be a situation where they have a falling out, and then somehow Solo wins the belt off of LA Knight, and then going into SummerSlam, they're like, now I'm thinking that screw up wasn't a screw up. I think you screwed me to get the belt for yourself, Solo. Naramin. And something like that. But I think they set up Solo versus Jacob by way of Solo and Tama interfering and costing Jacob the match while they play like, hey, man, we were trying to help. Sorry. And LA Knight, he hits the BFT and picks up the 1, 2, 3. But at no point did it look like Jacob would have lost otherwise. Mm-hmm. So neither guy is buried. And Jacob still looks incredibly strong. And it sets up this big, huge falling out family feud style between Jacob and Solo.
All right. Yeah. I like that. That actually sounds a little bit more realistic.
Yeah, and I think you could end up with some real good tension and a couple of real good matches between Jacob and Solo.
Yeah.
And I think that would put Solo back into more of a spotlight because he's kind of disappeared. Yeah. So I see it maybe going that route is my prediction. So, did you like my prediction?
I did. I'm so sorry. Okay. I was drinking water.
Okay. Cool. All right. I was like, man, I think she hates it.
You're gonna have to edit in a cricket sound right there.
Nah.
But no. I like. No, but I like your prediction, and I think, like I said, I think it sounds a little bit more realistic than mine because it still might be too soon for them, even for WWE, to put a belt on Jacob. But for him to even have a match at WrestleMania for a belt right now is crazy wild.
Yeah, but I'll be honest. I think
And
he's earned it.
well
I mean,
earned. Yep.
I know it sounds. I agree with you that it might seem like it's a little too quick, but Jacob Fatu is just that good. I mean, he really is. And I've never been a
Yeah.
fan of them capping a guy, like, hey, you're getting too popular too fast, or you're too big for your britches, or you're just too damn good, and you're
That
making the
was
the
that
top of
seemed
the
to
card
be
nervous.
yeah, that seemed to be a thing in Vince McMahon's WWE.
Yeah, so
Um
I'm hoping it's nothing like that. I'm hoping Jacob is allowed to rise as high as his talent can take him. But that said, I do think like he'll continue to rise. Like he doesn't lose anything to not win here and then be put into this massive, super interesting like bloodline civil war kind of a situation with Solo, which I think everybody smells on the wind, like they're
mhm.
teasing it. So that's why I'm predicting that goes somewhere instead of not really showing up here, because what would get him to fall out harder than them screwing up his title shot at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I
So,
don't disagree.
um, moving on from there to another match that I'm deeply interested in, and a lot of it has to do with like the excellent work that these two competitors have put into building it up and like the heel turn on Naomi is Jade Cargill versus Naomi. And
Would you like to
what
speak to it first?
I think I'll let you go first because I got to think for a minute about mine.
Okay. Um well, here's what I hope happens. I hope that Jade Cargill and Naomi give us a banger. Like Jade is of course like yeeting Naomi around for a little bit. You know, like get your revenge for getting hit with that car or like dropping on a car. You know what I mean? Get your revenge for that. And then like towards the end or something, uh Bianca Belair comes out and she wants to like she's like checking on Naomi or something because Naomi got like, hit real hard. She's confused and Jade's out like too and she didn't like she's doing like I don't know what to do, right? And then like at one point you think that she's out there to like something happens where she looks like she's about to help Jade, but then turns on her and goes heel with Naomi. That's what I hope. Now,
I like it. I like it.
I know that's not gonna happen, especially because I believe Bianca has her match the next night, and I don't think they would want to introduce Bianca as a heel before that match. I think that'd be too much of a character change before a big match. So I don't think that's gonna happen. Um, what I think is going to happen is I don't know if Naomi's gonna win. I kind of want her to, and maybe that's just because evil cakes, right? Um,
Evil cakes.
evil cakes. But I think if I'm just gonna play the how WWE usually works, I'm gonna say Jade Cargill wins this match.
I can
Like
dig it.
I don't think that it's going to be any big surprise shocker like type match. I think it's going to be kind of cut and dry that Naomi and Jade just have a good match, but Jade wins.
I think you're right. Are you ready for me to give mine?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. I predict straightforwardly that Jade Cargill wins versus Naomi here. Um, and I say that because we went through a long time of wondering what happened to Jade. We finally found out. And I think Naomi will give her a good fight, and she'll probably try and stretch the rules a bit, to win because she's a heel now.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be real close, but ultimately Jade picks up the victory because story-wise, the payoff is that she gets justice for that. But I don't necessarily disagree with you about circumstances with Naomi and Bianca, but that will actually I'll speak to that more when we're discussing my predictions for that triple threat match that Bianca's in.
Okay. Okay.
But I tend to agree with you. I think Jade Cargill, after a hellacious fight with Naomi, including Naomi pulling some underhanded tricks to try and get the win, ends up ultimately prevailing over Naomi.
Yeah.
Which,
We are in agreement.
which then brings us to Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano.
Yeah.
I don't know who wins this one.
I don't either.
I think ideally it would be Rey Mysterio defending the honor of Lucha Libre everywhere. Like I sort of predict that maybe Rey Mysterio will pull out the win after all kinds of shenanigans, included like a loaded metal plate in the forehead from El Grande Americano. But ultimately, like El Grande will try to do the metal plate thing, and Ray will be like, and and he'll try and headbutt him again, and Ray's like, and then Ray will start kicking the crap out of him, and then he'll take the mask off of him, and you'll see the little metal plate fall out, and everybody will be like, oh my god, it's Chad Gable. And he'll be like, well, wait, how did Rey Mysterio survive all those headbutts? And then Rey Mysterio will pop out a little metal disc out of his mask and be like, I too can play at that.
So my prediction is. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you done? I'm just.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, I mean, I could spit out some other like ideas about how LWO and the Creed brothers will be all over this match in some form or fashion.
Yeah, they're gonna be all over this match, I think.
But I think in a nutshell, they might play this like, well, we've seen El Grande Americano using this loaded mask, but we'll find out that Rey Mysterio is not susceptible because he, as a a veteran and smart, he loaded his own mask, and then he unmasked El Grande Americano. That's my prediction, and I think Rey Mysterio ends up with the win, defending Lucha Libre for all time against El Grande Americano.
Yeah, I like it. My prediction is a little different.
Let's hear it.
I predict that it's gonna be a crazy interfered with match. But ultimately, Rey Mysterio is going to get the win. And he's also going to be able to expose that there's a little metal disc that he's been putting underneath his mask. But I think that when he goes to take the mask off of El Grande Americano, there'll be another mask.
A double mask.
That'll be my prediction. And as such, he can't remove that one. He said he wanted that mask. He has his mask. That's that. And I honestly believe that's how this is going to end.
I can dig it. I do imagine that it's going to be some kind of little plot twist with this one, because this I think is just something that they're getting creative and having fun with.
Yeah, and I don't think they're ready to get rid of the character El Grande Americano just yet.
You might be right. You might be right. So who can say? But I do think it would be pretty good and pretty satisfying to the crowd, because I mean, like, everybody knows this Chad Gable, so it's not like you're.
Yeah.
We're all waiting in suspense to find out.
Yeah, we're good. We know.
So, if they decide to keep it going, that's cool. If they decide to end it right here, and it's like, see, we unmasked him, and he's got this little metal plate, and Rey Mysterio wasn't susceptible because he, too, also has a metal plate in his mask. Ha, ha, ha. Something like that would be pretty good. I think that would be a lot of fun, and it'd be a good match. And Rey Mysterio will be the defender of all that is Lucha Libre against El Grande, the big American. He will have prevailed. El Petit Mexicano wins over El Grande Americano.
Oh no!
So I think that's just fun. I think this will just be a fun match.
Yep, I agree.
Which then brings us to the last match on the card for night one. The War Raiders, Ivar and Eric, versus the New Day for the WWE World Tag Team Championship. And I have a rather elaborate theory about this one, so if you don't mind, I'll let you go first.
Okay. If they want to make the New Day, they want to solidify them as a or as a tag team to be concerned with, and to really get them over as a heel group, they should probably give them the belts. Create more really awesome matches for these belts, you know what I mean? Build some more story even between them and the War Raiders if you want. But I honestly think that the New Day should win these belts. They have never at any point. I know that they come out there, or they did with the Bootios and whatnot, and they had the trumpet and all this, and they've come out with really goofy, cheesy, campy, tongue-in-cheek type openers or entrances, but they have never at any point been a weak tag team. Every last one of these gentlemen have been amazing, which is why, as I've said before, they are still the most decorated tag team in WWE, like, ever. There's a reason for that. So, if anybody could win the belts off the War Raiders, it would be the New Day. And I think they should. And I don't think it would hurt the War Raiders at all. It wouldn't bury them to give the New Day the belts. And
I can dig that.
I'm done.
That's your prediction? All right. I agree with your prediction, but there's a whole lot more details I'd like to add. I do think that the New Day will win, but here's how I think it might play out. Because the biggest thing that's happened to the New Day in recent memory was that big falling out with Big E. And the War Raiders have constantly stated, this is war. And as we all know, all is fair in love and war. So what I think will happen is the New Day, as the challengers, are going to come out first. And everyone's going, boo, boo day sucks. Well, then the champions will be called to the ring, and they'll come to the ring. But they'll have microphones. And they'll either stop at the top of the ramp or about midway down. And they'll say, "We told you, New Day, that this was war. And in war, sometimes you have to do things that are unexpected, something like that." And that's when Big E will come out. And he'll come out with Eric and Ivar. And
Chris Angel, mind freak.
And the New Day will be like, "What the hell?" And they'll be like, "What are you doing here? Shouldn't you be behind a desk somewhere, Big E? Leave the wrestling to those with functional necks, buddy." Something like that. And Big E will be like, "I've watched what's happened to you since we last spoke. And it breaks my heart to see that this is what the New Day has become. And I can't get behind it. For the first time, I can honestly say I agree with them. New Day sucks." And everyone's like, "Ooh," and Big E says, "So I'm here to support the War Raiders and taking you down." And they're like, "Whatever, man. It doesn't matter. We'll beat you We'll beat them with all three of you in there. What, two fat guys and a cripple? Come on."
Oh, no.
Yeah, and so then we're having the match, and it's looking like it's kind of getting to the New Day that Big E is not with them, until Big E ultimately helps the New Day steal the win. And then when it's all said and done, Big E and the New Day are in there, and they're like, "We played all of you like what is Xavier Woods' trombone called?" He gave it a name. But anyway, we played all you like Xavier plays that trombone. From the beginning, Big E has been in on it with us. and you all fell for it. And we've seen what kind of fair weather friends you are. So now the New Day runs this place, and we're the new World Tag Team Champions with Big E. E is for evil. Something like that. And so it's like this.
Is for evil.
Yeah, so it looks like it's this big surprise because Big E comes out with Eric and Ivar, and everyone's like, "Oh snap!" But the New Day wasn't waiting for that. But then he's ultimately working for the New Day, and everyone's like, "Oh snap! We got surprised. They got us." And so it ends up making a relatively, not the most hyped for match on the card go to immediately super interesting. And it calls back the New Day, and they're falling out with Big E, and they end up making amends, and all three of them are part of like the new heel day. And it would just be a fantastic, and now they're the new world champions to boot, and they swerved everybody in the entire WWE universe. It would be amazing. Will they do that? I don't know. This is the part that's speculation, but I think that would be the best bit of storytelling for the New Day and to make this match super interesting that they could possibly come up with.
Yeah, I agree.
They decided to go that route. Yay! So that's my prediction. So it matches your prediction. I just fleshed out some more details.
Yeah. I like it.
I like it too. I like it so much that I hope they do that. Like, I'm gonna
be
disappointed if they don't do that because I like it so much. Yeah, because I think I can't think of a way to make this match more interesting than that.
Yeah. And right now, I mean, it's not that it's not interesting. It's like it's not like I'm not waking up in the morning going, "Yes, this is the match." But I hope it's a good one. These are both teams that can really bring it.
Well, and I think everybody's waiting for that Big E closure, right? Like they left it hanging like a dangling participle.
They did,
it's like, man, come on, we can't leave it like that. So initially, everybody would be like, yeah, here it is. Here's where Big E gets them back. And then when he swerves everyone to side with the New Day instead of the War Raiders, then they're like, oh snap, and people will be like, boo, but everybody will still think that was a cool as hell angle. And it makes the New Day look like they outsmarted everyone. And they'll still be heels, but you can't not be over at that moment. For sure. That shit was brilliant. So I hope that's the route they go with it. And I agree with you. I don't think it's going to bury the War Raiders. They're still great. And it's going to jet propel the New Day. Again, they'll still be heels, but they'll be they'll be interesting as hell. Yeah. So, and it helps put closure to the story that got left open, when they just sent Big E packing with his tail between his legs kind of a situation. And it ties it up nicely with a bow. And I just can't imagine a better way for that to go.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah, so that's exciting. That's so exciting that I hope that's actually what happens.
Yay!
It's a great story.
That's my prediction. We'll see if it plays out that way. But that closes the card for WrestleMania Night 1. Now we're on to Night 2, Sunday, 4/20.
Blaze it,
and that's where I'm gonna stop. All right. We're gonna start at the top of the card and kind of work our way down like we did with Night 1. Cody Rhodes, the defending undisputed WWE champion, versus John Cena.
Boo. Yeah, I don't think this is very what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think this is very exciting. I think Cody's gonna win. I think it's gonna be a good match, and I think ultimately we're gonna have interference from uh definitely The Rock in some fashion. Um, but I think that uh still Cody Rhodes is gonna pull out a win.
I think you're probably right. And I think what will be interesting is the role that The Rock will play. And
Yeah.
maybe, what's his name? The rapper guy who punched Cody in the
Oh,
face.
Travis.
Travis
Oh,
Scott.
yeah.
Can y'all tell I'm hip and I'm with it? I can't remember this dude. I'm curious to see what role they play because I could see this going a couple of different ways. I tend to agree with your prediction, but I would like to offer an alternative as speculation.
Okay.
Cody Rhodes tries really, really hard, and we all have been made aware that not just the fate of his title run, but of all title runs, goes if John Cena takes his ball and goes home, which is a summary of John Cena's motivation, at least the last time or so. We're still going to hear from John Cena and Cody Rhodes. We've got a SmackDown between us and WrestleMania where they're apparently having another face-to-face. So fingers crossed that they don't, kill it with overhype.
Oh, please don't.
But John Cena's run is through 2025, so it's not ending at WrestleMania, which means John Cena isn't done at WrestleMania. John Cena still has a little ways to go for the rest of the year. So I'm going to throw out there, what happens if John Cena wins? And now Cody is on the chase to try and get it back before, here's the clock. I'm leaving at the end of 2025. That's your time to try and get this back from me and prove that you are more than just a hodgepodge of tights and gimmicks that better wrestlers have all thrown together and you just copycatted, Cody. I'm playing the role of John Cena there.
Mm-hmm.
I felt I would say that because you can't see me. But suppose John Cena and The Rock win, and so everyone's like, "Oh no, this is the end of everything."
Uh-huh.
But that puts Cody Rhodes on the chase to get it back before John Cena retires.
Mm.
And
That's
that could
exciting.
make for some hellacious matches and, all kinds of stuff throughout the year as John Cena is ending his career as a title run. And so each and every one of those matches between him and his retirement becomes very significant because if nobody can win the belt back off of him, he's taking his ball and going home.
Yeah. I like it.
So that's one way they could go with it, and he's doing so with the full support of The Rock. And it just makes for this oh snap, now there's this existential threat of John Cena and The Rock that Cody is chasing and anybody else who wants that belt is trying to get, and it gives him a good reason to have John Cena to face off with all these dream match opponents before the end of his career with stakes.
Yeah.
So that's
Nice.
my thoughts.
Yeah, I like it.
Will they do it? I don't know, but that's the best idea I could come up with. Some of these aren't. Some are predictions. Some of them are what I hope happens.
Wishful thinking. Yeah.
So I think that would be the best and most brilliant way to utilize this situation. Especially with Cody having built up the existential threat of John Cena taking this storied, historic belt and taking his ball and going home. It really does make for this it's all of the WWE universe and everybody who has any interest in the history of WWE and potentially its future going forward versus John Cena. And wow, what a way to send John Cena off with a big, like instead of it just being, well, this is the John Cena match for the night, the one he's got to have because he's retiring. Now it has some stakes. It's got some storyline, and it's like, man, who do you think is going to win that belt off of him, or do you think he's taking that ball and going home? God damn it, And it's like,
yeah,
it becomes way more interesting, doesn't it?
it does indeed.
So that's my prediction for Cody Rhodes, John Cena.
Yeah, man, if that happened, if and that happened, I'd be here for it.
I too would be there for it. But moving on from Cena and Rhodes, we are brought to another big match of the night. Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley in a triple threat match for the WWE Women's World Title. What are your thoughts and predictions about that one?
I think I don't think that this is another match that's going to be too surprising or twisty or turny. I think just cut and dry. It'll be a good match. There'll be a lot of heat between Bianca and Rhea, and they'll do that general ignoring of Io as they've done for most of this particular bout. And I think Io is going to come in like a thief in the night, whoop some ass, and keep her belt. I think, and I honestly feel like it's going to be pretty much that cut and dry because that's essentially what they have painted for this match. They've kept the heat here simple.
So your prediction is Io Sky retains because that she's been nothing but overshadowed and pie-faced by the two challengers.
Yeah.
I could dig that. And I could see that being very realistically the way this plays out. However, I have a couple of different speculative theories for my prediction.
Mm-hmm.
The first theory I had was since it's a triple threat, it's no disqualification, which opens up the doors for any number of outside interference. This, on its face, would appear to favor Io Sky, who is a member of Damage Control and has a faction behind her, something Bianca does not, and something that Rhea no longer does. And the only friend that we know Rhea has is Damian Priest. And WWE, not real big on like intergender combat, so Damian Priest couldn't do anything. Other than stand at ringside and go, "Come on, Rhea." Or I guess if it's Damian Priest, "Come on, Rhea." So the first theory I had is that Io Sky absolutely blasts the two bickering challengers with assistance from Damage Control, which potentially opens the door for an Asuka return. And I thought that would be amazing. Asuka shows up, they take care of Bianca and Rhea, who were overlooking Io, and it's like, well, it looks like I'm much more dangerous than either of you two thought. Gaijin. And Asuka shows up and kicks, helps Io kick the crap out of both of these women. That's my more straightforward prediction. My second prediction ties in with what you were saying about Naomi and Bianca turning heel.
Okay.
And in this prediction, Bianca and Rhea are fighting, and Rhea and Io, they have a history. Io has not lost to Rhea. And so it's a three-way dance, and it's a real struggle because all three of them are going at each other. But then ultimately, Naomi shows up, and Bianca's like, "Why are you here? Go away." And she's like, "I'm just gonna watch." Or something, or maybe not even that much. Maybe she just shows up and we're like, why is Naomi out here? She's going to sabotage Bianca Belair because Bianca turned her back on her. Hell no. Rhea Ripley will finally look like she's about to, for the first time in her career, win against Io Sky, and that's when Naomi will sabotage Rhea Ripley and allow Bianca Belair to hit the KOD on Io and pick up the belt. And then everyone's like, what? I thought Naomi was here to sabotage Bianca. And then we find out that both Bianca and Naomi are now, proceed with caution and misdemeanor. Whatever their new heel names are. And now they're the evil girls.
The warning signs.
The warning signs, right? There's proceed with caution and yield. So, or maybe Bianca just becomes full stop. I don't know. It's proceed with caution and red light.
I like it.
So, Rhea Ripley didn't see that coming. Io didn't see that coming, and nobody thought that Naomi would help Bianca after Bianca pretty much turned her back on her and walked out on her. And so that's prediction speculation number 2. So I either see Io Sky and Damage Control making a big splash here, or I see Naomi assisting Bianca in picking up the victory, which, could be equally amazing. I mean, both of those storylines could be very cool. But I kind of tend to think like they were teasing a little bit. I mean, maybe a little bit of both. Maybe Damage Control comes out to start interfering, and then Naomi comes out, and she's trying to help because they're like, I'm trying to help you, Bianca. And Bianca's like, leave. I don't want your help. I told you to fuck off. And, ultimately she helps Bianca, and now they're new super best friends that both wear black because they're the bad guys. And, it turns out like that. It could go any number of ways. There's so much potential for that kind of stuff to happen in this particular match because a 3-way match is a no DQ match, so you can have a lot of stuff happen.
Yeah.
So either those two predictions or even the combo prediction kind of is where I'm at with it. And in the second one, obviously Bianca picks up the belt, but she does so as a heel that screwed everyone. Which could be very compelling, but equally so, a returning Asuka helping, Io Sky and Damage Control keep the belt from 2 top-tier competitors like Bianca and Rhea is also good. Plus, yay, Asuka's back,
Yeah.
So many things could happen here. So that's kind of my hodgepodge of a prediction is, a couple of the ways that I see they could go with this.
Like it.
But I think yours is equally valid. We've got Io Sky, who's been overlooked and pie-faced by Bianca and Rhea. She could just straight beat both of them, and it would be justice at this point. You know what I mean? Yep. But there's so much space for other entertaining and interesting things to happen that this one is wide open. And a lot of stuff could happen, as I think I just detailed.
Yeah. Man, you've got some good ones.
Yay, thank you. I try and think of interesting stuff, like what's the most interesting stuff if I was writing it, or what's the most interesting thing I'd like to see. And I do think, like, we saw Bianca the last time she was out there, she was kind of in all black, and it's like, oh, are you secretly signaling, like, it's time for the Bianca heel turn? And before, when that was suggested, I was like, well, that'd be a little weird because Naomi just did heel turn. But if Naomi and Bianca did a heel turn together, ooh, now that works.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, surprise! We're evil. We're evil bouncy cakes. No, not the evil bouncy cakes. The same. So, yeah, there's so much potential here. Like, so much potential. So I'm looking with great interest at what happens in that match because there is a lot of potential, and I hope the WWE taps into as much of it as they can.
Yeah, for sure.
The next match, I mean, if you thought a 3-way dance for a title was a lot, well, you got another thing coming because the next one is a fatal 4-way. For the Intercontinental Men's Championship, Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. And
Now,
what are some of the thoughts you have on this one?
again, I think I'm kind of torn because I think that Finn or Braun could win this. The only reason I'm leaning more towards Braun, you know what though? Hold on. Wouldn't it be awesome if Dominic like accidentally won this hoe?
I think I
Or like,
mentioned something like that to
did
you
you?
that is my thought that Dominic comes away.
You think he's gonna? Oh, I think that would kind of be crazy. Not
Yeah,
only that, but we've noticed somewhat a bit of a cheer or a chant for Dominic when he gets in the ring as of late. Um, and they're really trying to make it like Finn, um, is bullying Dominic, and like Dominic just doesn't realize it, like he doesn't even know it, right? Um, so it could be that out of all of these dudes, Dominic wins this match. But if he doesn't, if that scenario does not play out, as I envision it, uh, then I'm gonna say that Braun Breaker retains.
so you think Braun wins the whole enchilada?
Yeah, if they don't do something interesting in this match where Dominic ends up getting the win, then I don't see anybody else. Like I don't see them doing anything to make any other character seem more of a viable winner. I don't know if that makes any sense. What I'm saying is I don't see anybody else winning this but Braun Breaker or maybe Dominic if something crazy happens.
Yeah. Okay. I could dig that. My prediction is the crazy thing happens. My prediction is at some point, maybe Penta and Finn lay out Braun Breaker for a few seconds, and Finn gets the one up on Penta, hits him with the coup de grace, and Dominic is like in a corner somewhere, like, shaking off having gotten his ass whipped for a second. And right as Finn lands the coup de grace on Penta, Braun Breaker spears Finn because they're kind of off in a corner, right? And he comes away, he's not too far from the ropes. Braun super spears Finn completely out of the ring. And that leaves Dominic Mysterio kind of standing there with Penta, who has just gotten coup de grace, like, back on the mat. And Dominic's like, what do I do? And so he goes over there and he picks up the win on Penta. And that creates like a completely believable scenario where Dominic Mysterio can pick up the win with these other three men. But it also creates this unique tension between Finn Balor, who wants that belt for himself, and Dominic, who has the belt in the Judgment Day. And so now, like, assuming that Liv and Raquel don't lose their belts, Finn is now, other than Carlito, the only other member of Judgment Day without gold, and Finn loses his shit. Like, full-on crazy, angry leprechaun loses his shit. And so, that's my prediction, is I think Dominic picks up the win on the end. It has to be on the end of Finn Balor, like, coup de grace-ing the guy, so that Finn can be like, but I coup de grace him. You wouldn't have won. The only reason you won that belt is because of me. And it's like, well, I listened to Finn and I won. And it would be great. It would be so good for the Judgment Day and like all that tension. So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
What if after, like, let's say he gives like the coup de grace or something to Braun, and then Penta comes along and he's about to like he gives Finn his finisher, and then Dominic throws Penta out, and then he has the option to pin Finn and does.
That's a possibility, and that would definitely be a more hostile thing. But in the scenario that I described, it's not like Dominic was intentionally trying to screw Finn. And I
Yeah.
think that makes it more compelling because Finn's still going to see it that way, but there's going to be a debatable like it's less clear at that point. Like it's not like Dom was trying to screw you. He was in the match and the opportunity arose. He didn't do anything. But Finn's like, "No, Dominic's a snake. You had this all
Nick.
planned out." And I'm sorry, Finn is turning less Irish and more Scottish because I'm better with the accent.
It's
But
the churd time you screwed
it's
me.
the third time you screwed me, lad. But versus Dominic straight up pinning Finn for it, because then there's no argument to be had. There's nothing debatable at that point. It's like, dude, you screwed me specifically and directly.
But then Dominic could go, but I thought you said it didn't matter. It was as long as the belt came back to the Judgment Day.
Yeah, I think it could go either way. I mean, it could go either way, but I think it's a more defendable position and more sympathetic from the crowd if Dominic was just left in there with like Penta rolling around or something like that, and Finn was otherwise indisposed. So like, what else was he supposed to do?
Yeah.
So clearly he wasn't deliberately trying to screw you, Finn. But Finn's gonna see it that way, so Finn's gonna look completely irrational, which fits with the fact that he's been obsessed with winning a title, right?
Yeah.
And he's been so selfish in the pursuit of it, that this would just feel so right to everybody. Like, it's like, this is what you deserve, you crazy little Lucky Charms eater. So I think, either way could work, though. I mean, you're right, but me personally, I predict a Dominic Mysterio win in such a fashion that Finn can only reasonably be so upset about it, and Dominic can be like, but I thought you said it didn't matter who brought it back to the Judgment Day. And like Finn looks around at the rest of everybody and they're like, yeah, you did say that. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Congratulations, Dom. And he hugs him, but like, when no one is looking, he's like totally making mean mug, angry leprechaun face.
Yes.
That would be priceless.
Let's go. I love it.
And I mean, it's not like 2 seconds later Penta couldn't win it off of Dominic Mysterio.
Right. And
then 2 seconds after that, Braun Breaker gets it back off of Penta. So all of that would work out great.
Yeah.
I think that would to me, that would be a very interesting, fun way to do that match. And it's not like anybody pinned Braun Breaker. He lost the belt because he was out of the ring with Finn Balor in his arms from a super death spear. Yeah, that kind of a thing. So that's my prediction for this fatal 4-way.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah, I think
I'd be very
WWE. If WWE even does like a quarter of some of the things I've suggested, this WrestleMania is going to be like mind blowing.
Real talk.
I'm hoping they do all of those things, but even if it's just a little bit, I think this will be like, oh my god, WrestleMania 41 was insane, dude. And then I think that would be great. So, because I see all these different potential ways that this could go that could be hilarious and interesting and shocking and all of the reasons we tune into pro wrestling, right?
Yeah.
All on top of these guys putting on great matches in the ring. Hopefully that's understood. Like, none of these should be a crap match. Like,
yeah.
Speaking of none of these should be crap, I'm forced to look at Raquel Rodriguez, who is in the next match with Liv Morgan versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. I don't mean to pick on Raquel. I'm just saying we've seen Liv and Bayley just recently go, and they tore it up in the ring. Like, tore it up. Like, they had to replace the ring. They tore it up. And we know Lyra Valkyria can go, so the only wild card on being able to deliver their spots well is Raquel, and I'm rooting for you, Raquel. I'm hoping for you, Raquel, because I think we could have a real banger of a match here.
We really could. I mean, we know Liv's going to bring it.
Yeah, I was impressed as hell on this last Monday, watching her and Bayley just tear it up.
Yeah.
So
So we
I'm
know.
I'm actually more excited for this match, having seen that.
Yeah, yep. Took the words right out of my mouth. Um,
Oh, sorry, I can give them back.
it's okay. They're out now.
Oh,
They're out there.
okay, cool.
Um, and I honestly think, you know what? I think though, my prediction is that I think that Liv and Raquel will retain. The only thing that I think is questionable is whether or not it's going to be a good match, and that's really honestly predicated on two people, really, uh, on Raquel and on Bailey, because sometimes Bailey be having off nights. So if that's not one of those nights, and Bailey is here and functioning and ready to go, then yeah, this could be one hell of a match. I'm hoping for the one hell of a match. That's what I'm hoping for.
I think so. Um, uh, I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. Was that the end of your prediction?
Oh yeah, I'm done. That was it.
Okay. Um, I agree. I think Liv and Raquel retain,
Yeah.
and I think that for a couple of reasons. I think Liv and Raquel retain because Bailey and Lyra's kind of a throw together team.
Right.
I think they retain because I think them keeping their belts, and if in the previous prediction Dominique wins a belt, it just adds to Finn Balor looking extra stupid, so worth it. Um, and also, I think Liv and Raquel retain because there's some sort of miscue between Lyra and Bailey, and that teased Bailey like showing poor sportsmanship to Lyra comes out again, maybe with a Bailey to belly to Lyra Valkyria, and Bailey's all like "Murr," and Lyra's like, "What did I do? My hero, no!" And that sets up a feud between Lyra and Bailey.
Okay.
So that's my prediction for this match. Not
I
as
like it.
outlandish
Yeah.
as some of the others, but I do think there's some storylines that could spin off of this even.
I mean, while
And
some of them have been a tad bit outlandish, just a scooch, they aren't. They aren't like they're completely plausible. Like they're completely like um um. They sound like they're able to be done within the confines of the storylines that we have so far. So, like outlandish, maybe, but still pretty like doable,
believable. Yeah.
believable. Yeah.
But I do predict something along those lines because I think that sets Lyra Valkyrie up for a nice little feud with Bailey. And that's good for her. That gives her a really strong opponent to overcome in her relatively fledgling title reign.
Yeah.
Um, and speaking of that, just as a side comment, a little bit disappointed that Chelsea Green doesn't appear anywhere on the card. So, like, neither of the two new women's titles are on the line here
Yeah,
at
I'm not
WrestleMania.
sure. I'm not sure why Lyra is in a tag team match with Bailey instead of defending her belt against Bailey. Um, don't know why they chose to do that. Uh, and it's almost as if they didn't think they had other female tag teams that could go against Liv and Raquel, and I disagree there. I think they had a few that would have worked. I tell you what, Alba Fire and whatever that other girl's name, Dawn, that would have been great. Like for whatever you want to say about like their looks or whatever, or their promos or their mic work, they were still amazing in the ring. Um, and I mean, fuck, they were champions in NXT. Only to
Yeah,
come here
yeah.
and then just get squashed, get an afterthought belt run, and then just after that buried. Like I
Yeah.
don't even know what the point was of bringing them from NXT. Unless it was almost like they had something against the two ladies the way they brought them
Well,
over. Like, but
I, yeah, I'm not sure. I can't say for certain because I mean Alba Fire's still there, and her
Yeah.
and Piper as the Secret Hervis is awesome.
Yeah. What about
And
them? Why couldn't
I would
they?
love to see. Well, maybe not at WrestleMania, right? Like I couldn't answer that question. I would have thought that would have been great too, but maybe lack of card space because these are two pretty packed cards for two
Right.
nights, and I mean
Well,
eventually you run out.
what I'm saying is, instead of making a fake tag team for these belts, why not have a match where it's Lyra versus Bailey for Lyra's belt, and then have another match, a tag team match with Chelsea Green or this basically the Secret Hervis versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez.
You'll get no argument from me that that could have been a fantastic match. It's just not the direction I guess they chose to go. But I'm
Yeah.
with you. But I do think I might be right that we end up with big heat between Bailey and Lyra. And, you know, Bailey's going to come back with something like, why did you turn on Lyra? And it's like, well, not only is she, you know, she in the way of me becoming the I think it's Intercontinental Champion she is, right?
Yeah.
Or is she the US champ? No,
No,
yeah,
she's
she's
the
the
Intercontinental.
Intercontinental champ.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so Bailey says, you know, not only is she in the way there, but she also screwed us out of tag gold. So that's 2 for 2. She's cost me a chance at having a title belt. So her, you know,
Yeah.
and so we see Bailey and Lyra end up in a feud. And so maybe they're building a nice opponent for, you know, Lyra going forward. And hopefully they'll offer some similar buildups. Like I would love to see. It's tough with the women's tag team belts because it's one set of belts for both shows.
Yeah.
But I absolutely would love to see the Secret Hervis take these belts off of Liv and Raquel because like they put up a great match against Bailey and Lyra, and I think they could put on a hell of a match with Liv and Raquel,
I agree.
especially like with Piper to counterbalance Raquel being like massive. So I think that would be real good too. As far as why Chelsea just was completely not on the card, I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
real surprised. I guess they legit just didn't have anything, or maybe she'll show up and do something unrelated. You know, who knows? Um, but the, bringing it back to this match, that's effectively my prediction: is that Liv and Raquel win, and Bailey and Lyra have a huge falling out that leads to an intercontinental title feud.
Okay. I like it.
Yay! Well, that brings us to the next match on the card, which is Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a Sin City street fight.
Mm.
And what are your thoughts on that?
You know what? This one is actually kind of tough for me to predict the outcome of. Um, because while they have done a great job at trying to build some heat between these two gentlemen, I'm still just kind of like, I actually just want to see the fight, just to see two big dudes beat the crap out of each other. That's really it. As far as who wins, though, this one, like seriously, I want to say Drew wins because he needs a win, like really bad. He needs a win, and it needs to be over someone like Damian Priest. Um, not like Akira Tozawa or some shit. Like it needs to be uh a dude that would be his physical equal. But by the same token, I don't want Damien buried either. Give us a banger of a match, and then have Drew squeak out a win. But I think I'm leaning more towards Drew taking the win.
I could dig that.
How I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna cheat or what. There really isn't cheating here because this is like a street match type deal.
Yeah, it's kind of an anything goes
Yeah,
situation.
and because it's a street match thingy, it's got me thinking maybe Damian ends up winning this. But honestly, I feel like Drew should win this. But
Yeah, I really am not sure in this one.
yeah,
Because I agree with your assessment. Like, both Damian and Drew could afford to look strong here. Because Damian, since losing his heavyweight belt, has kind of looked mid.
yeah,
Like he hasn't looked particularly strong. I mean, the last big thing outside of some of the spots with him and Drew that I remember was Jacob Fatu telling him how things are run over here on this side of the town. Naramin, you know.
yeah,
So Damian hasn't looked especially strong of late, and neither has Drew. Like throughout all of 2024, so it's a tough call here.
yeah.
Um, I kind of feel like we're gonna see one more outing between these two before WrestleMania in the upcoming SmackDown,
Hmm.
and I can only assume Damian Priest will come out on top because he's come out on bottom in the last one. And if that's the case, then based on your theory that whoever cuts the last promo on top is the guy who's losing, it makes me think Drew will win.
Okay.
And I don't really have anything deeper than that because neither of these men is associated with a faction. Um, Anybody that would have it out for Drew McIntyre, which would probably just be CM Punk at this point, they're busy with their own stuff.
Yeah.
Like they've moved on. Um, and I don't think anybody has outside of Drew McIntyre any big heat with Damian Priest. So even though this is a street fight where any number of people could be outside interferers, I mean, I don't see a reason anyone needs to. So I don't have nearly as an elaborate construct as I do for some of these other matches where I can see all these different angles because I don't see a whole bunch of different angles here. So I generally tend to think this is just going to be Damian and Drew having a slobber knocker of a street fight.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree with you. I think Drew might go over.
Yep. Yep. And that's just because I kind of feel like out of two of them, he needs it slightly more.
Yeah, I think he's needed it through most of 2024, and so I think he does need it slightly more.
Yeah.
But yeah, for that one, I'm just hoping for a really good match from both men.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
and who knows? I mean, it is a street fight, so this could be wild card time. Like, this could be where nothing that could be predicted, even outlandishly so, comes into play. But I don't have any idea what that would be, so I'm going to read straightforwardly. I think Drew goes over. I agree with your prediction 100%.
Yeah.
That
Excellent.
yay! That brings us to AJ Styles versus Logan Paul as the last match on night 2 of WrestleMania. Thoughts on AJ Styles, Logan Paul?
I think Logan Paul will win. I don't know how. He might just do his little, his cheaty punch, whatever. Oh, his titanium knocker outer. His Superman fist. His kryptonite knuckles.
Not the Kryptonuckles.
The same.
I mean, why isn't it called the Prime Punch? I mean, it's right
Oh, that's
there.
good. Yeah, that's really good. Long story short, I think I don't know. I think Logan's gonna win because I think every one of his matches. Has he won a match? He won a match, right? Yeah, he's won a match.
I think he beat The Miz.
Oh. All right, well, I guess that works. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I generally feel that Logan is gonna come out the victor here. What say you?
I think for me, it will kind of depend on, because I imagine AJ and Logan are going to have another vignette this coming Friday. And I think I'll need to see what happens there. But Logan was up on the last one, which makes me think AJ will be up on the next one, which makes me think further than that Logan Paul wins. If the pattern holds.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to win like straight. I
No,
think
no.
like 15 anthropomorphic prime bottles are going to show up and AJ's going to be like, which one is the real Logan Paul? Or something, some kind of shenanigans, right?
Mhm.
And so Logan will cheat AJ Styles out of a win here, I
Yeah, he's
think.
gonna borrow MJF's pinky ring.
Dynamite Prime Punch. Pop.
There it is.
Yeah. So it could be any number of things, like Logan Paul introducing some wild card, like what is it? Like KSI shows up and calls AJ a duty head, and AJ's like, "What?" And that's when Logan's able to hit him in the face with the titanium fist, and then he hits the pulverizer, and it's uno dos tres. But yeah, I tend to think through shenanigans of some sort, Logan Paul squeaks out a win here against AJ.
Yeah, I agree.
I wish I had like a super elaborate like thing to say here. I mean, like the shenanigans could end up being elaborate. I don't know.
Super shenanigy.
But I do think Logan Paul will squeak out the win.
Yeah.
And everybody will be like, boo, boo hiss. You extremely talented professional wrestler. We're booing you because of everything that happens outside of the ring. Boo.
Yeah.
So yeah. But
Shots fired.
that's my prediction too. I think Logan Paul squeaks out the win against AJ at WrestleMania.
Good.
Well, that concludes our special predictions and speculations of WrestleMania 41 episode. I just want to thank everybody who's joined us for this episode. And please join us for our next episode, which will most likely be our coverage of SmackDown. And then, of course, we will be covering, we'll have episode covering WrestleMania. It's going to be an exciting week. I'm looking forward to it. But until then, I don't think there's too much for me to do but roll the outro.
Oi, guys!
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest AEW and WWE news and shows. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Follow us on social media for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.